Hello business ethics students. Today I'll be discussing a little bit how we can consider ethical behavior from a social psychological perspective. So to this point in this book we've discussed various ways in which the values of an organization as well as the individuals within their organizations can be a determinant of the behaviors of those individuals within those organizations and the organizational stakeholders in general. However, it also is important to consider the fact that stakeholders within an organization are in fact social animals, and as a result, pressures of the environment can be determinants in the extent to which someone behaves ethically or unethically. Essentially, what I'd like to give to you all today is another tool for your paper for this course, and essentially making you all more aware of how the environment affects you and how you can also affect the environment, how various stakeholders can play a role in establishing the culture of an organization. Managers, group members can play a role in influencing the extent to which their coworkers behave ethically or behave unethically. One of the ways in which we can consider this is by looking at the ways in which we make attributions. For example, the fundamental attribution error. Essentially, the fundamental attribution error argues that people have a tendency to judge others' behaviors as due to internal factors. Conversely, we might look at other attribution errors such as the self-serving bias, which occurs when we attribute our own failures to external factors and our own successes to internal factors. Now, there are various ways in which we can look at the attributions that people make. For example, we might look at a consensus perspective. We might say, did others act the same way under similar situations? So for example, if you have an employee who's late for work one morning, you might look at the extent to which other employees within your organizations have engaged in the same types of behaviors given certain similar environmental circumstances. Additionally, you might look at the distinctiveness. So you might ask, does this person tend to act differently in other circumstances? So for example, if you have an employee who's late for work in the morning, you might ask yourself, is this employee consistently late for other activities such as meetings, or perhaps late coming back from lunch, etc. And then finally, consistency. Specifically, does this person always do this when performing this task? So is this person always late in the morning? Does this person always turn this particular assignment in late, etc. And by using this attribution process, looking at consensus, distinctiveness, and consistency, we can consider the extent to which we can make internal or external attributions. So for example, an internal attribution may occur if there's low consensus, low distinctiveness, and high consistency, or we might make an external attribution which could occur if there's high consensus, high distinctiveness, and low consistency. In addition to looking at attributions, I think it's also very important to be aware of environmental circumstances. So what I've placed on Canvas for you all to watch today are a series of videos looking at group conformity, obedience to authority, the power of the situation, and social learning. What I'd like you to do is to watch each set of videos individually, and after watching, for example, the first 3 videos for group conformity, I'd like you to go to the discussion board that I've placed below the videos on Canvas and discuss on the discussion boards briefly what implications we might draw for increasing or decreasing ethical behaviors in the workplace. So for example, how can group conformity be used to unfortunately increase unethical behaviors or decrease unethical behaviors? Similarly, how might obedience to authority, such as obedience to a manager or supervisor, lead to increased or decreased ethical behavior? How might the situation, the power of the situation that's been created, lead to increased or decreased ethical behavior? And finally, the same thing for social learning. And we'll discuss your responses in our next class period.